full disclosure, I'm high right now. The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 4, The Siege. I didn't think, I said in my last review, this season, so as far as I'm concerned at least, I know for some people it was like, it wasn't as big of a deal. The last episode I thought was my favorite episode. It was like, each episode I was like, I really enjoyed the first one. The second one, even though it was shorter, I just love the way the episode was handled. It was, had like a creepy chase sequence, and I loved it. I was like, I love that. Anything when extra Mandalorians come in, then they had Bo-Katan. Like, as someone who actually watches the animated shows, it's amazing. Like, it's not as big as the Darksaber, because the Darksaber was the first thing, but like, I cried when I saw that. So out of excitement, I was just like, I can finally buy an overpriced toy of this now. So I'm still waiting for them to put that out. I actually should Google that. But anyway, live action stuff. And I was just like, I don't know. It's hard for an episode, for me at least. You add in, Clone Wars / Rebels characters into live action for the first time ever, and those characters are the Mandalorian characters, and it's an epic episode. And then this episode kind of strolls along, and I was like, man, they did a lot. I guess they're about to escape the facility. And I was like, huh, it's only been like 10 minutes. How long have I been sitting here? And I knew I was high, but this was a great episode, and it was a long episode, which is why I was confused. I was like, oh, it was like short, episode 1, 2, and 3 was just like, okay, shorter, and so I was starting to get a little worried, like, okay, what's gonna happen? And somehow they've done exactly what I hoped, which was, if it's short, it's got to be epic. So the last episode was short, and it was an amazing episode, which also, it kind of leads to a huge surprise when this episode comes out, because I'm like, they just did the live action version of an animated character, and their Mandalorians. Like, the whole episode was amazing. It was just all crazy action. I'm like, well, there you go. We hit like our cool, like, close to a movie episode, and I was an idiot. I didn't see this coming. This was like an hour of just pure Star Wars, and it was great. They had the jokes, like the very opening. I was high by the time the episode started, so it may have been funnier to me, but I thought it was a good scene. I was like, it's cute, but it's also really funny. And it's like, take the blue wire and put it where the red wire was, and don't, like, just the way he was trying to do it. And it was just a funny opening. I was like, I love this. I thought that was hilarious. And so, we get 2 characters back. I don't remember that. Carl Weathers, Gina Carano. That's all I got. I can't remember the characters' names in any way, shape, or form, but I know the actors. So we get to see them. Our cold open, before we even got the opening, we had like the cool, cutesy, funny moment. And then we have Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, I believe. That might be it. She's the marshal now, and she goes in, and it was amazing. She just took a bunch of people down, was beating them up. I was like, oh man, like, remember how we were supposed to have Star Wars 1313, and it was going to be a cool action game in Star Wars? It wasn't just Jedi and stuff. It was like, that underworld sort of life. Yeah, I think of that every time something gritty happens in Star Wars now. 1313. But that's good. Good vibes then. So that was an amazing sequence, and that was like the open to the episode. And then everything else was just fantastic. It was funny. Like, the parts that I found funny, I wasn't bothered by him. Like, we had the guy who showed up from the first episode. He's not dead. Who would have seen that one coming? So he's working his dead off, and he was like our comic relief for the episode. But I didn't think it was overbearing or anything like that. I thought it was still really cool. And even if it was overbearing, the amount of amazing stuff that happened in this episode compared to, like, maybe being annoyed with him, it's so far out of balance. It's like, it wouldn't even matter. It's like, it's a blip on the radar, where it's just like, meh. The rest of the episode is like utter perfection, as far as I'm concerned, at least. Like, it was already cool. I was like, man, this feels like, it felt like an oddly perfect blend of old school Star Wars and like the prequels. I'm like, okay, it's got like the comedy, and that feels more prequel style, but it fit within it. Like, and I thought it fit really well. And it was like, okay, these are like little, more upbeat, kind of cutesier, happier scenes. And I was like, oh, that kind of makes me feel like, especially because it doesn't look super pretty and pristine, it makes me feel more like the originals than it does the prequels, just based on the visuals. But the style of it felt like the prequels. So I was like, this is like a weird, perfect blend. Like, for me at least, it oddly fit. And I was like, I wouldn't have seen that coming, but it felt like a perfect blend. The stuff that was funny and cute was just lighthearted, enjoyable Star Wars. We get to see, the child go to school, and he jacked the kid for his little blue macaroons. I guess they're made out of blue milk there, so I guess that makes sense. And it was just fun. I was like, oh, we see him use the Force. That's nice, and maybe that'll come into play. I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew people were like amped about this episode, and I just didn't understand why. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought it was just like a singular big reveal moment. It was like, no, this was just amazing. Just there was so much of it too. Like, that was a really short segment, And I already enjoyed that. Where it was like, I feel like it's a good blend. And then it was just like, you want to just step into a movie real quick, or we can just throw you right into a movie because once they're inside of an Imperial base, it's just a movie as far as I'm concerned. Like that's just how it looks. It's like this just makes it a movie now. It just gives you that instant feel. We got another trench run. We got lava trench run with my favorite vehicles, the speeder bikes. I was as soon as they went past and it was a fleet of speeder bikes. I was like, I really hope they do a lava speeder bike chase. It wasn't as crazy as I thought, considering the one person crashed into another person, which was really funny. But it was also still like this cool moment where it was just like, and I guess because they showed it from the other stormtroopers' perspective, where it was just like, gotta keep going. It was like, dang, that's so like there wasn't like he said anything. It was literally like it was cold, and it was like these are like the soldiers of the. That's how it felt. It was very dramatic. I was like, somehow that was funny, but it still felt super dramatic, and the CG was amazing on the clone troopers to me at least. Of course, obviously, grain of salt, I was high, but, I feel like the CG looked really good. And that was something I complained about in the first episode, where, like, sometimes when something's just so CG, it doesn't fit. But I think I mentioned that for the speeder bike in the first episode, actually. I think it was because, and I mentioned, they actually went through town, so I think he was just on a little thing that was covered in a green sheet, and they, keyed it out, or, something to that effect. So it just looked weird, like, just the way they did it. But this was all CG, so whenever it was, like, stormtroopers, the background was CG as well, so it, everything fit in really well, and I was like, that just looks really good. Like I loved it. I was like, holy crap, an amazing sequence. I didn't know if somebody was gonna get killed. I was like, they can't kill him because it's too early. Like it just didn't make sense. I was like, they can't. But what if they did? I mean, there's two people. It's not like we care that much about the blue guy. So it's like they got two people. They could hit us with a real shock, and it's just like, holy crap, they killed at least one of them. And I was like, that could actually happen. And then we just gotta, they keep going. But of course, I'm glad everybody lived, especially Carl Weathers. No offense to Gina Carano, but I just really like Carl Weathers. I knew him first, so like just the way it all played out. Like when they first go in, they're taking people out. Then it's like, holy crap, Moff Gideon's actually alive. Also, wrote this down. Wrote 3 things down. Speeder bike, movie episode. Went through that. Was that Snoke? Am I crazy, or was that Snoke? Because I'm like, these little things got some big effing heads. And there's like the perfect scar that goes right down in that giant head. I'm pretty sure they just showed us like them try. I'm assuming. Well, I was gonna Yoda species. I was gonna be like, what's the name? There is no name. It's Yoda species so far. But they're using that species' blood to make Snoke. Is that how that happened? Well, I mean. Maybe if they succeeded, that's how it worked. I don't know. They did something, unless I'm just crazy. They just threw in like a giant piece of lore that's gonna kind of flip the script a little bit on the movies and everything that just happened. Who knows if it'll make it better? I don't think people care that much at this point, but I think it's cool. So I'm pretty sure that was Snoke. I'm high, but I'm like, I just saw this one big head dude and a bunch of some clone tanks. And then there's these little big head dudes and clone tanks. So I don't know. And maybe that wasn't the case. Whatever that scene was at the end, they look like Death Troopers, which I thought existed already. So I'm slightly confused as to what in the world's going on in that specific scene. They just look like Death Troopers. I think it was just meant to be like, they're about to face, really soon. We're about to face like a grand army, which I think will be the next episode because Dave Filoni actually directs the very next one, which everyone assumed was like, he directs the one after this one, so of course that's where Ahsoka shows up. Like that's a character he helped build. So I was like, of course. So if she shows up in the next one and they have a tracking beacon on the Mandalorian and they got Death Troopers at the end of this episode and they know exactly where he's headed and he like takes off. The whole point of the end of the episode is like amazing sequence in the air. I wish I was like genuinely smiling. I was like, oh man, he's doing the spiral down and he like destroys the ship and it was just like the music swells up. Unbelievable. Like I love this whole episode, but he took off. He was like, no, can't do it. Gotta go. See you guys. And then the child threw up, which I thought was hilarious. Being a new dad, I was like, I have something in common with the Mandalorian. I get spit up. I understand that. But he took off. They have a tracker. He's going to meet Ahsoka. The next episode is probably going to be that lightsaber fight episode where they were saying like Moff Gideon ends up in a lightsaber battle at some point in the season. Unless somehow something happens where he gets distracted in the next episode. I think the next one's probably going to be insane like this one, but it can't be. I didn't think the last episode would lead into this though, where it was like, oh, okay, it's getting shorter, but they did a lot in those 30 minutes in the last episode. But then this one was like, oh yeah, we were doing all that cool stuff, but shorter, so we could just blow your effing minds with this. And so even if the next episode is shorter, considering everything they just did, I'm like, maybe they could just keep the momentum going if they want to. Just it's the Mandalorian. It's why you have Disney Plus. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I would assume she has to show up. I'm pretty sure it's the next episode. I could be if it's the one after the next, but whichever one Dave Filoni, which I'm pretty sure was the next episode, he's directing. So it's like, yeah, he's that. It would be weird if Ahsoka first time live action was not on his episode. That doesn't even. That's just unfair. That's just unjust. Like that's not justice. So I think it's the next episode. But either way, when it happens, it's gonna be wild because they got the tracker on them. And the next episode, like one of the next two, like there's no way you can get to 3. I forgot I have my heat on, but that's a great place to end it. I love the episode. I would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. What happens next? Are we getting Ahsoka next episode? If it's a Dave Filoni one, I would put money on it. But want to know how you guys are feeling. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.